Hello everybody and welcome back to Genestealer Cults 101, where today I'm going to be talking Rusted Claw. Hi guys, Tom of 6++ here, and I am back with Genestealer Cults 101. Now today I wanted to start by kicking off a sub-faction series, essentially. I really like pretty much every single cult that came in the Genestealer Cults book, including the custom ones. And I thought for new players, I think one of the interesting things to do would be to talk through each of these in a bit of detail and start giving you a few ideas for how you might want to use them in your games. Now, today we're going to go with Rusted Claw. These are the sort of nomadic, biker-based, Mad Max style cult of all of the different options that you have, and they're also the army that my Genestealer Cults are painted in scheme-wise. So I've got a bit of a special attachment to them, and that's why I wanted to start with them. I ran Rusted Claw for all of my early practice games with Genestealer Cult and had a really fantastic time doing it. So I wanted to share with you what I think is great about them and why they can offer you a lot of fun in your games. Do I think they're the most competitively viable? No. Are they a lot of fun? 100%. So here is why. Let's start off with the trait. Rusted Claw have a really nice all-round powerful sub-faction trait. They reduce AP 1 and 2 by 1, which is an excellent durability boost on your fragile little guys, as it ensures they get at least some kind of armor save a lot of the time, especially in cover against all sorts of incidental fire, which, as Genestealer Cult players will tell you, is prone to just picking our guys up and killing them. So that's a really nice thing to have, and it also works really well on trucks, the Goliath and the Rock Grinder trucks, because these benefit massively with their 3-up saves they have now. They're much tougher if incidental fire is plinking off them and isn't working in the way that your opponent expects it will, kind of forces them to commit more powerful guns to your trucks in order to get them down. That's only half of the trait though, because the other thing that Rusted Claw get is the ability to move and advance and still count as remaining stationary when shooting. Now this is really nice. This gives you a lot of reach, gives you a lot of speed, lets you advance and shoot bikes and trucks, but it also means that whenever stuff's coming in from deep strike and reserves, as we want to do a lot with Genestealer Cults, it's going to be able to fire at its full sort of ballistic skill, barring other modifiers that it might come up against. So I think that's a really nice trait, and it gives you a lot of reach around the table. Certainly I find neophytes advancing and shooting without penalty is really nice. It makes your Rock Grinders and your Atalan Jackals incredibly speedy and punchy as well. So this gives you a lot of reach to go with the durability boost that the other half of the trait gives you. All in all, I think it's a very nice, sort of subtly all-round useful sub-faction trait that gives you lots of different tools to work with. Let's move on to the special power, the spell that Rusted Claw get, because I think the special powers are one of the big reasons you'd take one of the actual named cults over a myriad cult. In the case of Rusted Claw, they've got one called Inescapable Decay. With Inescapable Decay, you pick a unit with an 18, and from then on out, any Rusted Claw units attacking it get an added AP to their attacks. So this is really nice because this adds up very well with all of the high rate of fire shooting that seismic cannons, auto guns, shotguns, and other weapons can put out. This bumps you up to AP1, AP2, AP3, which can make the lesser weapons of your army suddenly punch well above their weight. I think you need a specialist psyker who's willing to get up close to do this, so I would take 2 Patriarchs, or you could have a Magus that you don't mind getting near the action. I think generally you're going to need to get in close, so it's going to have to be someone who wants to get in. Either you're not afraid to lose them or you're happy for them to get involved and mix it up. But yeah, very powerful spell. And it's also a malediction power, so if you have the Unwilling Orb, you get +1 to cast it, so this is going to go off most of the time as well. Next up we have the Warlord trait, and I like this a lot. This is Entropic Touch, which is double exploding 6s to hit in melee. You know who you're putting this on. You are putting this on every single time. The Acolyte Icon Ward. No, you're not. You're putting it on a Patriarch, obviously, every single time. Makes a Patriarch even more killy than he already is. Double exploding 6s and then rerolls to wound on his melee attacks. Absolutely brilliant. But if you do want to be daft and put it on one of the little infantry guys, please do, and let me know how that game goes. I think Entropic Touch is just an excellent warlord trait to have. There's only really one of the base ones that really amps up a Patriarch in melee, and if you're running a couple of Patriarchs, as I'm enjoying doing at the moment, I think having this for Entropic Touch and then having Biomorph Adaptation on your other Patriarch makes them both surprisingly killy and surprisingly nasty. So yeah, that's a very powerful trait, very nice to have. The relic is called the Nomad's Mantle, and this allows the wearer to fall back and still shoot, charge, or cast psychic powers, as well as moving through models and terrain like a Harlequin. This is really good on a Patriarch as well. If you've got a Patriarch who's running around trying to do psychic actions, but also get stuck into combat, the ability to fall back and still cast things like Mental Interrogation or Warp Ritual, then charge in again, because that's what Patriarchs do, is extremely useful. Really, really nice. And so the Nomad's Mantle again pairs up really well on a melee Patriarch who wants to get close. You can see how a Patriarch with Entropic Touch, Nomad's Mantle, and Inescapable Decay is going to do a lot of nice work very near to the action in the battle. Finally, we have Stratagem, and this is Drive-By Demolitions, which is one of my favourite strats. And so an Atalan Jackal's unit with a demo charge at the end of the movement phase can throw that demo charge as if it were the shooting phase. There's something in range, and they get the full 6 shots with it, rather than having to roll a d6. So on a buffed up Atalan Jackal squad with Primus buffs, etc., rerolls, this makes for a really nice double tap. It is going to cost you 2 CP, but you get to throw it in the movement phase, then you can attack again in the shooting phase with another demo charge, which means that you can get a 58-point unit that can go a long way to seriously harming most units in the game with a huge number of damage to Strength 8 AP3 attacks. So that's really nice. It's CP intensive to run this and do it several times in a game. I think probably I've only really used 2 packs of Jackals to do this, but it's awesome when it goes off, and it's fun watching an opponent's face as a huge number of explosive demo charge shots come in. So yeah, that's the Stratagem, and I think overall that gives you a sense of the package that Rusted Claw have. What I like about Rusted Claw is that every ingredient feels like it links together well. There isn't anything in there where you're like, I don't know what the value of that is. You can see how it's useful. You can apply and combine these things to good effect. So I think Rusted Claw lend themselves to mobile, shooting-focused play, making the most of mechanized and biker elements, but also neophytes who benefit a lot from the traits. They're a little bit more durable, they can reach that bit further, and I think the power and strats really help you to get the jump on key targets as well. I don't think they're a meta pick because I don't think this makes them durable or killy enough in melee, and I think with a lot of tournament-based Genestealers, you're seeing real emphasis on either just raw melee damage or sort of the massive durability that one of the other sub-factions I'll discuss next time can offer you. But they are extremely fun to play. I had a whole bunch of starter games, as I said earlier on, and I played this maybe 8-9 times before even feeling like I needed to try a different sub-faction, so it's very, very enjoyable to play. So I highly recommend, get out there, sling some demo charges, let me know how you get on, and I will see you next time where I think we're going to discuss Bladed Cog.